Hello, welcome to the 15th lecture. So when you look at all these specific parts, for the good SEOs, I use these concepts. And for the traditional ones, you can tell that these are headings, these are heading levels, these are just prompts for the authors, and these are the internal links. But if you want to be a proper semantic SEO in the context of heuristics, you will need to actually understand the definitions of these things in a really good way. And anything that you just see here, they are all coming from this part. Without understanding the queries and the query parsing and processing methodologies, it's not possible to create a proper topical map, to be honest. You have to understand how search engines read, process, understand, associate, and cluster the search terms and the search queries. Then it's way much easier. So that's why I will suggest you to check my SlideShare account. Here, as you see, open, I actually explain what is query parsing. And you can check all the designs of the search engines for actually parsing and processing different types of queries. And all these designs, they are actually directly coming from Google or the Googlers with different types of really important inventors like Tristan Upstill or Vishnu Natchu. But one of them is actually more explanatory, which is David C. Tyler. So the things that here is that all these domains that you just see here, they represent different types of knowledge domains. Let's say your website is under the knowledge domain 1 and you want to go to the knowledge domain 6, which means that you will need to create a vector as I do. It also means that you will need to touch to these minor knowledge domains and you will need to touch to the knowledge domain 7. And the distance between 1 and the 7, it represents the semantic distance, and this semantic path will be shaping your topical map. And as you see, different types of knowledge domains, they are actually united under different types of contextual domains, because two different things actually can come closer to each other with certain types of entities, attributes, contexts, and different types of, let's say, purposes. So once you get the knowledge domains, then you will need to connect them together with the context. When it comes to the documents here, this is actually the book that I will be publishing very soon. And in this book, I have written it like actually 2 years ago, but basically this book is over actually 30,000 words. And it's actually my average case study length, I can tell, but this time I wanted to publish it as a book. And here, we basically explain how search engines generate questions from keywords. So I won't dive into the book because, as I say, I will keep everything practical. But you should get these concepts to understand the search engines. First, how they actually process queries. Then, how you can generate questions from these queries. In every query, actually, there is a functional word, concrete word, user inquiry intent, and the model is a model that they use to understand possible search behaviors and related search behaviors. Then you will get the subject areas. We give the definitions here, then we explain these things, and in the future sections we actually explain how feature snippets are created, how the best answer has been chosen, and what kinds of metrics or what kinds of actually scoring methodologies can be used for better, let's say, better context scoring and etc. But when it comes to here, you should understand that you will need to filter the queries first. If you look at here, all these queries, they always have the specific entity, Germany. So the rest is just the attribute, Germany lake, Germany population, Germany minimum wage. So at the right side, we always have an attribute, and we are able to verbalize these queries with certain types of context. But which query and which entity attribute pair is the most important one, and how we can filter them. And one more time, we will need to look at our source context here. If you look at our source context, we are actually a visa consultancy company, which means that this here, the German football league, or basketball league, basically, is not relevant to our source context at all. So which means this specific attribute is not relevant to us. So I won't generate any question from this. I will just skip it. But when it comes to the population, it's really, really important for our context. That's why I will use population. That's why you see population here. And you see the population also here too. Because I need to increase its overall relevance and the weight in our contextual vector so that we can increase our overall relevance. In the next lecture, we will talk about attribute criteria and how we can filter the attributes of entities for content brief creation. And it will be helpful for you to understand how you can actually clean the queries that you will be focusing on. See you in the next lecture.